Hey, what's good, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different, something I haven't done up to this point. Today we're going to do a roster review. Just going to kind of look at things that I have invested in my time playing Marvel Strike Force, and the things that I look to invest in going forward in the near future. Um, Going forward, I plan to maybe start doing one of these per month, um, just to kind of keep you up to date on where my goals currently are at the time. Um, I know with this game, it's kind of hard to keep track. Uh, the metas for the various raids, arena, war, they tend to change quite often. Um, but just earlier today, I hit 21 million TCP. Normally, I don't pay attention to that sort of thing, but I had an alliance mate congratulate me on it. So that kind of made me come in and look and see, where I'm at. But let's jump into it. So, uh, my top row here is things I'm currently working on, with the exception of Aim Infector. He's here just to grind ISOs, farm ISOs daily. Um, some days I do all the 50 core refreshes on ISO campaign, other days not so much. It kind of depends on where my core levels are at. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, depending on what kind of events we have going on. Um, but anytime I have, free ISO campaign energy, I hit up Aim Infector here because he's a controller. Right now, controller is the lowest thing I am in terms of where my ISO levels sit. So a lot of that has to do with the more recent team that has just come out, and that would be the Darkhold team. So you see here, I don't have them fully leveled yet, with the exception of Morgan Le Fay, who I will get to in just a moment. I'm slowly bringing them up. I'm trying to keep the power levels somewhat equal, with the exception being Scarlet Witch. When the team was announced, I did put resources into her. And then I realized that everybody on the team would be Mystic. So I quit putting resources on to save them for Morgan Le Fay once she dropped. This is going to be a team that is going to be the arena meta. They're going to have a great usage in war, and Cosmic Crucible, when that ever comes out. I'm sure there'll be a great team there. But scrolling down here a little bit, you see here my highest power characters. Kestrel, I was fortunate enough to pull 7 red stars on her. I went hard on her campaign way back when now. And by the end of her campaign, I had her at 7 red stars. So she gets daily usage from me with inside the Doom Raid on tech and skill lanes. Omega Red, I pulled 5 red on him. When I made the decision to take him up to gear tier 16, I purchased the 6 red for him. He's one that, as my alliance has progressed into Doom 2.2, I'm now using him on the mutant boss node. So he's getting a ton of usage daily. He's great in war. Tower, he's great in. And then Doom, the big prize for Dark Dimension 4. What can we say about Doom other than really there is nothing to say? He has his place. Again, that is with inside the Doom raids on the tech lane. I used to use him in Mystic, but not so much anymore. When I got the chance to get the 5th red star on him, I did that. So, Adam Warlock, part of the previous arena meta. He is what he is. Symbiote SpiderMan, holds a very dear place to my heart. Anyone that knows me closely knows that I am a huge fan of all things Spider-Man. Symbiote Spider-Man was the first character that I ever wailed on. When he came out, I went hard on him. And I pulled 5 red stars on him during his initial release and used promotion credits to take him up to 6 and 7 red stars respectively as I hit those stars for yellow. So, as one thing you'll see is that a lot of my characters are mostly raid characters. Symbiote Spider-Man, I used a ton in raids, whether it was Ultimus 7 at the time when he first dropped. We were running that every day. Doom 1, and even, the first couple months of Doom 2, or really up until just a couple months ago when we got Web Warriors. Symbiote Spider-Man was a character that I played with every day. Loved playing with him. I still try to get him into whatever, my current needs are, just because I love the character so much. And he's got a great kit. So, scrolling on down, Captain Sam, I took him into Dark Dimension 5. Would highly recommend. Love him as a character. He, again, gets daily usage with Inside of Doom. Silver Surfer here now. I took him up to 6 red stars. He's one that doesn't get a ton of usage from me anymore, which is real unfortunate. I remember when he first came into the game, him and Kestrel were kind of the turning points within the last year of the power creep that occurs inside the game. But I still like using him when I can. It's just not very much anymore. So then we've got, Spider-Man Miles, part of the Web Warriors. Close to my heart, just not as much as some of the others. Gamora, again, part of the previous arena meta. And then you got Fire Lavelle. As you can see, I gear tier 16'd her. I use her in Dark Dimension 5. I did it because I was flush with bio gear. So, to each their own on who they take into Dark Dimension 5. As you can see, mine is only 5 red stars. Would I recommend you to take her into Dark Dimension 5? Not at all. There's so many other characters, especially in Cosmic, that you could take before her. I just happened to, at the time, have a ton of bio gear, so that went to her. Our next row here, as you can see, 4 out of the 5 are Spider-Man related. The 5th being Emma. Emma is another one I took into Dark Dimension 5 for global. She got great usage for me, has been getting great usage for me, whether it's inside of war, both on offense and defense. Her place daily has been in the arena as well. So up to this point anyways, we'll see what happens as more Darkhold teams start popping up. But yeah, the other 2 Web Warriors over here, I took both of them into Dark Dimension 5. I absolutely love them. And as you can see, yes, all of my Web Warriors are at least 6 stars. Again, Spider-Man related. I went hard. So then we get down here and, this is where the roster starts to drop off a little bit. Invisible Woman, you can see I put teal gear on her. I will be using her in legendary nodes for Dark Dimension 5. Jubilee is another character that I do plan on using in Dark Dimension 5. I just need some mutant gear for her. Bishop, I would love to take him up to tier 16 just as a personal preference. But he's going to sit on the back burner for a while. Cloak, you can see, is tier 16. I used him on the city nodes and also the opening 5 nodes for my first run. Loved having him. Him paired with Ghost Spider. There's not really a better feeling than having him use his ultimate, followed up by Ghost Spider using hers to spread all the debuffs And then you can use Scarlet Spider to extend like the blind, the disrupted, defense down, offense down. Um, that was a lot of fun when you were able to pair those 3 attacks within a turn of each other. So, as you can see, the top part of my roster is pretty much heavy on 7-star characters. I've been playing for so long now that, you know, they've just started to accumulate. Cersei and Icarus, both tier 16. Both only 5 stars, though. I tend not to go hard on arena metas just because I hate the arena. I'm fortunate enough to where I can place within the top 10, top 20 daily now. But Cersei and Icarus, you know, I didn't go hard on them. I think Icarus I only bought maybe 1 offer. Cersei I did not buy a single offer. I just cored on her campaign. So Lady Deathstrike was another one that I used with inside of Dark Dimension 5. Would highly recommend. Just her kit is so good with low cooldowns on her special that does the turn meter rewind. Again, would highly recommend. You'll see Star-Lord here, level 85, tier 15. Yes, I built the team for the Nowhere heist. I know a lot of people will say, why waste the tech gear? There's a tech raid team coming. And all I'll say is, until I see a tech raid team, you know, what else am I going to use the gear on? I don't like to hoard. I just, you know, if I have a usage for a character, even if it's only a once a month event, to me it's worth it. So I try to play the game for fun, not to hoard and wait for what's next. So, apologies, that was my timer going off for an arena attack. So, scrolling on down, I used Ravager Stitcher with Inside of Dark Dimension 5. Again, would recommend. For his cost, I would recommend. Unless you're going to pair him with Star-Lord T'Challa, I might not recommend it. Misty Knight, another one that I took into Dark Dimension 5. She's got a stun on her, her special, and an ability block on her ultimate. Low cooldowns, low cost in gear. Would recommend. Shang-Chi was one that I wanted to take in at the time, but his unique, by the time I got ready for City, was just not where I needed it to be. Unfortunately, he got put on the back burner for this guy right here, Mr. Luke Cage. He's another character you can look at and say, why would you take him to tier 16? And Luke Cage and the Defenders team in general holds a special place to me, somewhat. I used the Defenders on Dark Dimension 1 when they were, you know, one of the meta teams way back when. So I got great usage out of the Defenders. Since then, some of them have transitioned to the Heroes for Hire team, and they became a war defense juggernaut up until recently. So, you know, as we continue to look here, I mean, Black Bolt is one I never took to tier 15. I can do it now, but I don't know if I want to or not. We'll see, you know, as the metas continue to shift. If I don't know, unless his team gets a rework, I don't see myself putting in much more into him unless he has a use. So as we scroll on down here, we get to Morgan Le Fay. As you can see, tier 16. And yes, I used the elite promotion or the dark promotion credits to throw a couple red stars on her. This video does take place during the Pestilence Scourge. You can see my other video for my thoughts on that. I won't get into it here. But yeah, I mean, she looks to be the character, one of the top characters in the game for some time to come. I mean, as we scroll on down, you see the Weapon X team. I built some of them, a couple of them here, not so much, but they get the job done for what I use them for, 9 times out of 10, anyways. The Dark Hunters, another more recent team, also being used in the Scourge event alongside Web Warriors. I pulled dreadful red stars on my Dark Hunters. At the time, I decided I wasn't going to build them. As we got closer to the Scourge event, I decided to take them all to tier 15. Wish I had better red stars, that's what I'll say. I'm not impressed by the team at all, but that's neither here nor there. Ultron, I have been slowly putting red stars on. I've got him up to 4 red stars now. I will use him sometimes on tech nodes. It's not daily though, so hoping he gets a rework one day. That would be fun to see. Young Avengers, I kind of skipped that team for the most part. You'll see why when we get to Echo. Echo's event kind of irked me a little bit. But Shadowlands is a team that I wish I put more resources into. The problem is I tend to spread my resources wide instead of focusing on individual teams, unless it's a team that I have a great interest in, like Web Warriors or something like that. Shadowlands still has a place within Side of War. So at some point, I hope to double back to them and get them all up to, level 85, tier 14 or 15 across the board. I love Moon Knight. He's a lot of fun to play with. His kit is great. So here's Echo. Again, we could only get 3 stars through her event. I did not spend on her. I am of the opinion now to where I'm only going to spend on characters where it makes sense to me. So, yeah, that is what it is. But Young Avengers, my team with Inside of War, not that big. I think, 600k, somewhere in there. But, yeah. So now we get into the middle of my roster, where you'll see still a lot of tier 12s in terms of gear. Some tier 13s. I have this thing where if I use a character inside of War, whether it's on defense mainly, I will take them to tier 13. I know a lot of people will say, well, if you're going to take them to 13, that doesn't make sense in terms of, what the power difference is between 12 and 13. And my thing is, I just like seeing the little orange border around them. So, it's stupid, but that's how I do it. Don't do it yourself, though. If you can leave them at tier 12 and just put levels on them, do that. You'll save so much gear that way. It's just a little pet peeve thing of mine. But, yeah, these characters here don't get a ton of use. You can see Star-Lord T'Challa. I thought about building him. No, I think the time has passed. I thought about building him to take him into Dark Dimension 5 at one point, and then I had some other things work out for me in terms of what gear I got from the second pocket dimension. But as you can see, the further down we go, the lower levels the characters get. So, but that's pretty much my roster in a nutshell. Hitting 21 million, near-term future, I'm building up the Darkhold team slowly, and we'll see what happens. But that's going to do it for this month's roster review. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We are quickly approaching 100 subscribers, so let's hit that, shall we? Thank you. And until next time, be good to everyone. No one likes an asshole.